We are now back in the States after a short 2-week vacation in the Philippines. And in this video, I'd like to show you what we did to prepare for our trip back to San Francisco, what are the requirements, when did we have to do them, and our experience at the airport before we finally boarded our Philippine Airlines flight. So during this pandemic, who can travel to the States and what are the requirements? Always check with your airlines for travel requirements. But since I'm traveling via Philippine Airlines, I'm going to show you where I got the travel requirements. And these travel requirements are not exclusive for Philippine Airlines passengers. They are the travel requirements for any passenger who will travel to the United States. I just happened to find them in the Philippine Airlines website because I am flying Philippine Airlines. Type in philippineiairlines.com and hit enter. And then go to click travel information and then go to COVID-19 travel guide. And then choose travel rules and requirements. And then choose departing from the Philippines. And then choose your destination. For our video, it is United States mainland, but if you're going anywhere else, just choose whatever destination. But for this video, it's United States mainland. So mainland is Los Angeles, San Francisco, and JFK. So these are the travel requirements. Allowed travelers are those who are fully vaccinated and unvaccinated U.S. citizens, U.S. nationals, lawful permanent residents and immigrants, fully vaccinated non-U.S. citizens and non-U.S. immigrants, and exempted unvaccinated non-U.S. citizens and non-U.S. immigrants. So basahin nyo lang to. Ang medical documents na required for traveling is the proof of vaccination, yung vaccination cards natin. And then the negative COVID-19 test, whether it's an RT-PCR or an antigen swab test. And also documentation of recovery, which in our case does not apply to us because we were never sick of COVID, or documentation if traveler is unable to get vaccinated due to medical reasons, which again did not apply to us, but if that applies to you, you have to present it. So for our scenario, in our case, we only had to present the travel document at the station to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. It says here, this form must be downloaded, printed, and signed upon check-in at the airport. So we click on that. Then you'll open the attestation form. It's a 7-page document. Then you print your name and sign and date it at the very bottom. Then you print the form, and this is what you're going to bring with you when you check in at the airport. So what if hindi nyo ginawa yung attestation form na yun in advance? It's fine. The airline staff at the check-in counter will give it to you and will make you sign it. So check your airline's website and read the travel requirements very carefully, because there may be requirements that may be required from you and are not required from other passengers, because we all have different legal, health, and vaccination status. So you have heard that you need to present a negative COVID test result at check-in. So passengers going to the States are required to have an RT-PCR test or an antigen COVID test 1 day before departure. So for example, if your departure is on a Friday, then you can have your COVID test done anytime on Thursday. Or if your flight is on a Sunday, you can have your COVID test done anytime on a Saturday. So check your airlines who their COVID testing partners are and where they are located. Now this is for Philippine Airlines passengers. For PAL passengers, there are 2 testing sites. There's one at Philippine Airlines Learning Center located at 540 Padre Faura, corner Adriatico Street in Ermita. This is a drive-through or a walk-in, and they're open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day.
The other testing site is at PAL Gate 3, located at Andrews Avenue in Pasay City. This is also a drive-through or a walk-in testing center, and they are open 24 hours, 7 days a week. Sa PAL Gate 3 kami nagpa-COVID test. Siyempre, dahil mas murang antigen test kesa sa RT-PCR test, nagpa-antigen test kami. Ang antigen test is only 600 pesos, while RT-PCR test is 2,599 pesos. Antigen tests have results within 30 minutes, so we were able to wait for it, while RT-PCR test results are available within 24 hours. Pag nag-positive kayo sa antigen test, you will need to undergo an RT-PCR test because this is the most definitive COVID test. So hopefully, negative ang COVID test nyo. For Philippine Airlines passengers, there are forms to fill out before you go for COVID testing. And it is advisable that you fill out this form before you head to the testing center. These forms are called Passenger Profile and Health Declaration Registration Form. Haba, no? And this is available and can be filled out online 5 days before your departure date. So I will show you where to go and how to fill out the Passenger Profile Health Declaration Registration Form, or PPHD.
So go to Google and type PAL registration, and then click on Departure Guide for International Travel, Philippine Airlines. And then go to Please Register to PAL Laboratory Partner ECIF. Click on that. You have to register you can register as early as 5 days before departure. And then, answer the required boxes. Required boxes are those with the red asterisk. 2 pages lang ito. And after filling it out, for instance here, I would say I'm a foreign national, and then put in your last name, your first name, your email address, your departure date. They're gonna give you a calendar where you can just choose your departure date and your flight arrival date, and what is your port of entry. It could be, if you're going to the U.S., it's United States mainland if it's San Francisco, or LA if it's Honolulu. You choose Honolulu. If it's Guam, there is a choice for Guam. And then you click next. And I can't click next right now because I didn't fill it out, but then after you fill this out, it will then tell you to check your email because it will give you further instructions on what to do.
So you just completed your pre-registration form. Now, go back to your email, the email that you provided. There will be an email for you that says your pre-registration form has been confirmed. And then it will take you to a link. There is a link that you have to click, and when you click on that, that is when you will complete your passenger profile and health declaration form. Once you're done with that, you will receive a second email that will say your registration has been completed. That email also contains a QR code. That QR code is what you will present at the PAL COVID Testing Center 1 day before your departure date. So as a sidebar, what if you didn't do all this ahead of time? Like us, hindi namin ginawa. So okay pa rin as long as may cellphone ka and magagawa mo sa cellphone mo yung registration. Of course, that is assuming you have a cell phone, and everyone seems to have a cell phone, but not everyone has a data plan or has a Wi-Fi that you can log on to, di ba? And that's what happened to us. Buti na lang kasama ko yung sister ko and naki-hotspot ako sa kanya. So it took us around 15 to 20 minutes additional time in the testing center kasi we had to do it there. But then kung gawa na namin, diretso na kami sa pagbabayad ng test, and then itetest na kami agad. So get in there prepared to decrease the time you need to spend at the testing center para makapaglakwatsa pa kayo on your last day and makabili pa kayo ng mga last minute pasalubong. So let me give you an idea of how the testing center looks like. So this is the entrance of PAL Gate 3, where they have a huge sign of the testing that they do and the cost of the test. So as you head in, to the right, is the testing center. And then over to the left is a huge parking area. So walang problema ang parking. Now, if you're there for a drive-through test, this is where you go. That's also the parking area. And then again, to the right is the testing center. Now at the information and help desk, there's a huge sign on how to do that COVID testing. And then they laid out the process. And if you have not registered, there's a QR code that you scan so that you could do it right there. That's the verification and payment area. And then the last area is the testing area. That's my husband getting himself tested. This is our experience as coach or economy class passengers. PAL will advise you to check in 4 hours before the departure time of an international flight. And I think that's a good idea, and I'll tell you why. But the second good advice is to do online check-in. Sa online check-in with bag drop-off, maikli ang pila. Doon din nakapila ang mga business class passengers. Unfortunately for us, since we don't have Wi-Fi all the time, I wasn't able to do an online check-in 24 hours before the flight. I was only able to do it about 4 or 5 hours before the flight, which at that time, I think nag-glitch na yung system sa dami ng nag-online check-in. So we weren't able to do an online check-in. So we arrived at the airport a little under 3 hours before our departure time, and what we saw was a very long line. Hindi man namin makita yung kung nasaan yung check-in counter. And the reason for the long line was because there was only one line for all economy class passengers for Sydney, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. So the line was moving very slowly. So worried na kami baka hindi kami umabot, no? And I guess the airport staff were also worried about that. So someone came to us and asked us kung senior citizens ba daw kami para pupunta kami sa unahan ng pila. Thank you. Reality check. So sabi namin, hindi pa. But then I guess we looked like seniors thanks to our gray hair. Dinala pa rin nila kami dun sa pila ng yung needing special assistance. So napauna kami. Kaya kami napabilis. At that point, we saw what was causing the delay. Every bag or box was being checked and scanned, and if there's something suspicious, they opened the bags or the box. And this is before the check-in counter. So that's security check number 1, before check-in counter. The additional cause of delay was the excess baggage. May mga bags na overweight, so the passenger would open it, unload, and repack. Siyempre naman, no, ang mahal ng excess baggage fees. So, additional cause of delay yon. Then after check-in, we went through immigrations. And after immigrations, we went through security check number 2, where we had to take off our shoes, our belts, and they scanned our bags again. I was held up here because they saw some kind of a pump in my bag, and they wanted to make sure that it was an inhaler. So they opened my bag, and yes, they found an inhaler. Then finally, we headed to the boarding gate. To our surprise, there was another long line at the boarding gate. For what? For security check number 3. Yes, we had to line up for security check again, take off our shoes, our belts, they scanned our bags again. In this security check, they set aside my bag because they saw some powder. And they asked me, may pulveron ho ba kayong dala? And I said, yes. 3 boxes lang daw ng pulveron ang pwede. And thankfully, 3 pulveron boxes lang ang dala ko. So, I was scared. We finally made it at the boarding gate at 9:27 p.m. Our flight leaves at 9:50 p.m. and the flight left on time. So, the advice of 4 hours, yeah, that's true. If you want to have a relaxed check-in at makakapag-relax pa kayo sa boarding gate, then 4 hours is true. It is a good advice. Kami, we didn't have the time to, I wanted to do some duty-free shopping and to buy some snacks before boarding, but I didn't have the time to do that. So that is our experience traveling. Maybe this will be our new normal until the pandemic is over. So what we all need to do is to be always in the know. Keep checking because the rules change constantly. Check YouTube and check your airlines. Ngayon, kailangan ng COVID testing. Who knows, maybe in 2 months, hindi na kailangan ng COVID testing. So I hope you learned something from my story. And I wish you a safe travel and a happy and enjoyable trip. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.